So I want to talk about Ashes of Creation, and I want to talk about some of these videos they showed off today during the live stream. So let's jump in and let's do this. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Hybrid combat in Ashes of Creation. What's up, guys? This is Jahlon, and I'm not even on screen for the moment. I honestly wanted to take this hybrid video and do like a segment on its own, but I wanted to do my usual comprehensive review. So you need to go ahead and check the link in the description below. You need to go to this Ashes of Creation video and watch this segment in its entirety. I've specifically given you the timestamp section so you can just click and go. I did check with Margaret. They are not going to upload this one in 4K, but future ones are going to be uploaded. Personally, I would take the time when you're watching that video, leave a hashtag we want 4K comment so they know 4K footage is what you crave. When you watch this video with Steven's narration, they're going to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to give you the highlights from that while we watch this footage. They have a plan for action and tab abilities. You're going to be able to hot swap with the Z button to move between stances. So you're going to be able to move from that tab stance into that action stance. We found out today that all weapons have a front arc. This is your basic attack, and it changes by weapon. Smaller weapons, smaller arc. Bigger weapons, bigger arc. There is no auto attack. So this left mouse button, that is going to be your filler attack. You can actually hear Steven hitting his mouse button in the footage, and that is that blending of tab and action that we have been waiting for. One of those other things we've been waiting on is how are they going to make tab and action integrated? How is it going to be seamless? And they talked about how you're going to be able to use tab target abilities in action mode. You're going to be able to highlight a mob with your cursor. You're going to be able to eventually hit the right mouse button on it. This will lock the target for you. And even when you're in that action combat stance, you're going to be able to fire off tab target abilities. This is the seamless blending that we've been waiting for. Any reservations I had about the action combat, they're at the bottom of the list because I still got to get in there and I've heard about it. Now I got to test it. I'm actually chomping at the bit to get in and do some firsthand testing. So Steven, let me in. I'm still not on the screen, and that's because we got not one, not two, but 3 videos today. We got a video on some castle siege stuff. I want to put a big disclaimer on this one. This castle is only 1/4 the size of a normal castle. This is just for testing. The real one, it will get bigger, and as we all know, bigger is better. We learned a lot about mechanics today. We always knew that the initial 5 castles would be taken from the NPCs and that'd be some sort of PvE event. What we found out today is that it's going to be a boss fight where there's going to be different groups competing to see who can do the most damage to the boss. Because the group that does the most damage, their guild leader is going to become the Monarch. And they hinted at the fact that during this PvE event, there's definitely going to be some PvP. Of course, like all the things that Intrepid reveals, this gives us less than half the information we want. So I know in the comments you're going to ask me questions, and I just don't have all the answers. Soon, maybe. Hashtag Jahlon interview 3. We got some other tidbits. We know that there's going to be a weekly event at the castles. We knew it was going to involve those castle nodes. What we found out today is that it's going to involve moving the tax money from one of the nodes in the region up to the castle. What does that mean, folks? It's a caravan, which means you can be Robin Hood and you can jack the king's gold on its way to his castle. This is going to create an intense PvP cycle on a weekly basis. And remember, the monarch grows in power the more castle siege cycles he sits on the throne. So there's going to be that continuous desire to unseat the monarch unless you want a guy or a girl to get way too powerful. All right, guys, let's talk about that engine update that we heard about. They have moved from Unreal Engine 4.23 to Unreal Engine 4.25. This has caused them some engineering issues and bugs, but that's okay. Intrepid wants to stay current with the engine as long as they can until the engineering team has to say, nope, now is the time we have to commit to a build. I know a lot of you keep saying, well, what about Unreal Engine 5? What about Unreal Engine 5? The big part of that is the dev kit isn't even available to all the studios yet. So Unreal Engine 5, they are not at that decision crossroad yet. Epic Games, they are highly motivated to have all of the studios that are producing games move on to that new engine the moment it becomes available. Intrepid Studios, they want to start getting some alpha testing done. They definitely don't want to delay to do an engine upgrade. They will make that decision when the time comes. I know a lot of you say they should do it now. They simply can't. Slow down. Remember, it's a process, and they want to be out as soon as they can, as soon as it's good, as soon as it's ready. If that means we get Unreal Engine 5 at launch, we'll get Unreal Engine 5 at launch. If that means Unreal Engine 5 comes a year down the road, that's when we'll get it. Okay, I want to talk about this studio update, and I need you guys to understand. California is not in a good place right now with the pandemic, with restrictions on work. So Intrepid is doing an amazing job, and you know that's not just lip service coming from me because I bust their chops all the time. In fact, you heard Margaret say,
we're going to find a better solution for this for our next stream. Promise. Hold me to it. I know Jahlon will. No, I'm just kidding.
And that is 100% true. I keep them honest. I hold them accountable to their own statements. They have hired on 16 out of the 24 positions they put up in this current hiring phase. My public math tells me that that puts them in and around 86 to 90 employees. They're doing an amazing job considering the world events. They can't go into the office. They're actually not allowed to go into the office. If you guys don't understand that, the world community, you may not understand. San Diego County cannot go into the office if it's non-essential work. So they are onboarding new staff remotely. Everybody is working remotely. And Intrepid, they say that they're staying on pace, but we gotta be a little forgiving. Doing new things, teleworking, not being able to get together as a staff. If they have to push some deadlines, this has been going on now for 5 months. We have to be understanding. The other big thing, there's a video up there in that upper right-hand corner where I talk about the my.games thing. I already did a segment on it, so I'm not going to rehash too much. I'm going to give you the bottom line up front. My.games is out. Intrepid Studios is self-publishing in Europe. They got a lot of positions that are getting hired on. Margaret is ecstatic. She's going to be getting more people on her team. She's going to be able to do a lot more things with community building, but just give them some time. Europeans, I know you got a lot of questions. There's a link in the description below to the article. If this is the first you're hearing of the my.games separation, go read the article. If you've got some questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments below. I will do my best to get you some answers. All right, guys, next up today, we're talking about the questions and answers segment from the live stream. And I want to remind people we're still having a problem with the quality of our questions. Make sure you ask a question that is well written. It cannot be a paragraph. If it takes an entire paragraph to set up your question, that's a bad question. Short, concise, and to the point. Make sure your question is well researched and not a repeat. I know a lot of people don't want to take the 2 seconds to ask in Discord or ask on the wiki, but what happens is you're asking a question that's been asked before and they don't want to showcase that. And finally, make sure you're asking a question that's answerable. Give them the opportunity to talk about stuff that they can talk about. Don't be so far in the weeds that they can't give you an answer. So some of the ones today I want to talk about because I want you guys to comment below. I'm aiming for less questions covered. I want to generate good discussion. And the first one is, after a node siege, when freeholds are vulnerable, who is eligible to attack those freeholds? And we found out that it's everyone, not just the people who were signed up for the siege. And that is kind of an interesting dynamic. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Should everyone be eligible to attack the freeholds, or should only the people that were signed up for the siege? Next up, gearing your bag that is not equipped does not take a durability loss on death. That's good to know. Somebody was asking about the artisan classes, and I covered this in my artisan video. Artisan classes are not affected by character, class, race, or religion. They want to make sure everyone has an equal shot at the artisan tree. Now, I will tell you that social organizations do affect the artisan system, but that comes from those expert dials you get by being a ranking member in those social organizations. One of the repeat questions, I'm gonna put it in here, but and there's a reason why. People asked if there was a soft cap beyond 50, and the answer is no. Level 50 is your hard vertical cap. It is the end of vertical progression. They don't want there to be people leveling to 51, 52, 53 because there's a lot of balancing that has to go on with that. Even though you could make the XP bars ridiculously long, there's still a lot of balancing that goes with that. So 50 is your hard cap, no going beyond it. Once you hit 50, start your horizontal progression. In Asmongold's live stream, Steven talked about flight paths, and people thought that he was talking about the Metropolis superpower on the scientific nodes, the airships. And that is not what he was talking about. If Node A and Node C both develop the infrastructure, they can have a flight path between them. Now, these are going to be for short hops. These are not going to be, I go from one end of the world to the other. These are going to be connecting your local nearby nodes. Is it going to be fast? It's going to be faster, but it's not going to be instant, and you're still going to be investing the time. Remember, limited fast travel is a pillar of Ashes. Next up, they talked about PvP and character information. When you cursor over someone, you're going to get a lot of information about them. You're going to get their class, and it'll break it down for you. It'll say like rogue plus rogue or cleric plus tank, so that you don't have to memorize all 64 combinations. It's also going to give you their armor grade and their armor tier. So are they wearing tier 5 cloth, or are they wearing tier 4 plate? This is another one of those I'm asking you guys to give me your feedback on. Do you like the fact you're going to be able to get that much information about people, or do you think there should be some limit on that? The next one is people were concerned about beta, and is beta going to be the full game? And no, Intrepid has no intention of letting you know everything in beta. They want to keep as much stuff close hold for launch as they can. Remember, though, they need to test everything. So they need to give us enough to test. Now, will we see the entire world? Maybe, maybe not. If they don't need us to test the entire world to make sure the systems work, expect parts to be unavailable. Expect lore to be stripped from the text. Expect ranks and buffs and bonuses to be stripped out of things that they don't need us to see. Somebody asked a really good question, although you might not think it is. Can I have a freehold cat? A cat that just wanders around my freehold? And I loved the answer that Steven gave. It's not outside the realm of possibilities. They didn't have it on the scope, but it's something they could look at. I don't think they need to add that for launch. I think they need to just go ahead and not add anything else. No scope creep. As cute as a cat would be, as big of a fan of cats as I am, we don't need that. Get to launch and then make that patch 1.01 the freehold cat expansion. And finally, people were asking me, and I didn't have an answer, what are freeholds going to look like? Your freehold will have the architectural appearance of whatever you select to use as the blueprints. So if you live on your freehold and I play a VEC and I go get VEC blueprints and put those down, my freehold will have a VEC architectural flavor. Even if the node I'm attached to switches to Talnar, to Renkai, to Pyron Elv, doesn't matter. My freehold will always represent me. This is different from the in-node houses, which change every time they stage up, because they want the towns to maintain a steady and similar appearance with each other, but the freeholds are the expression of the player. All right, guys, and that is it for this recap. I do need your help. I need a couple of things from you. Number one, how's the audio? How's the video? I've done a little bit of changes. I've made the video as clean as I can get. I've done a little work on the audio. You guys said you weren't happy with it. We spent a good part of this evening trying to make it better for you. So is it good? Is it there? Does it need an improvement? Number two, go check out ashes101.com. My team of HTML ninjas have completely revamped it. I want to make sure it's functional for you. If it's not functional, there's no point in me working on the context and the substance. It needs to be functional first. Finally, if this is your first exposure to Ashes of Creation, welcome to the community. Stop what you're doing and go sign up. My referral link is in the description below. I do get a kickback when you sign up through me, but it lets Intrepid know that I'm reaching bigger and bigger audiences, helps me grow as a content creator. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and join me Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, or Saturdays on Twitch. My channel is in the description below. I stream Q&A live. We got a lot to talk about tomorrow with this one, and I will see you then. What are you still doing here? Nobody ever stays this long. This is the end screen. Well, since you're here, there's a couple other videos I think you should check out. And all those names, those are my patrons over at Patreon. I couldn't do this without them. So, big thanks to them for all their support.